Hey guys, today we're talking about equip spells. So, equip spells, as you know, these are effectively continuous spells, and they're usually going to look like weapons or something of that sort, right? And usually have an attack modifier. So, for example, we have Phalanx Spike here. This card, well, any equip spell that only modifies attack is generally garbage. Yeah, there's no other way to put it. So of course, like a card like Fouling Spike can only be used on your own turn because it's like a continuous spell. But like your opponent doesn't actually have to necessarily remove your continuous your equip spells. With like a duster or anything, they can simply just remove your monster. Keeping in mind this doesn't actually contribute to like anything during your opponent's turn unless they for some reason feel like crashing into your monster. This does literally nothing. And this also does nothing. So there aren't that many equip spells in the game. As you can see, I actually own most of them, which is pretty funny. But that just means a good amount of them are legacy cards. So like Book of Secrets, Dogmatism. This is also not super great. You can send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard, but at least it has a different effect, you know? It certainly does something. But there are other forms of removal aside from destruction, of course. Like if your opponent removed the monster equipped, um, that Dogmatism is equipped to, then it does nothing. If they link with your monster with like Unchained, for example, also gone. If they banish your monster, this also does nothing. Keeping in mind, like, attack and defense decreases are useless if your monster can just be, like, removed with, like, a Baron, a Raigeki, whatever. Completely irrelevant. Any attack defense increases, of course, your attack defense increases won't stop, like, for example, let's say Sprite, a very, in general, low attack defense, like, archetype. Having relatively low stats, even if we're going like pretty pure Sprite, they can just remove your monster with like whatever equip spell willy-nilly, and it just does not matter. There are in general not that many good equip spells, as is like, what is this, 7 completed. Activate this card by choosing attack or defense, equip it only to a machine monster, gain 700 attack or defense depending on the choice. Well, like telekinetic charging cell, this was and is still kind of good, but it's only good with Reproducus, honestly, and certain old cards. So we no longer have Cyberstein to use this with, so without Cyberstein and Smoke Grenade, it's like truly whatever kind of cards. And then there are like kind of Monster Reborn kind of equip spells as well that special summon a monster from the graveyard. Like I believe Karakuri has one. It's called like Gamma Oil, I believe. Similar to this. So for Gamma Oil, it would special summon a Karakuri and equip itself. Equip the spell, and if the spell is not on the field or whatever, then the equipped monster also gets sent to the graveyard. There's also that kind of equip spell. And then there's like super jank ones. Like for example, instant Neospace, equip only to a fusion monster that lists elemental hero Neos as material. It does not have to activate its effect during the end phase to shuffle itself into the extra deck. If the equipped monster leaves the field, you can special summon one elemental hero Neos from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So like this one's very specific and kind of jank. That one's specific to heroes, and then Dragunity Divine Lance is a bit different. So this can equip, well, during your main phase you can equip one Dragon type Dragunity tuner monster from your deck to the monster equipped with this card. So this is Dragunity, which essentially uses monsters as equip spells, which is kind of a weird mechanic in like a bunch of different ways. Just for example, since they're monsters, they're technically not spells, but they do count as equipped spells, so Imperial Order does negate uh, equipped monster effects, in case you were wondering. And the interaction with like anti-spell fragrance is also like the same kind of jank. Because this equips though, it doesn't matter, but if it were to activate an equip spell, then it wouldn't work because of wording. DDR, different dimension reincarnation. Discard one card, then target one of your banished monsters, special summon it in attack position, and equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. Another one of those kind of monster reborn type of effects, and there's also, of course, like living fossil, for example. And then we have like Fluorite de Flora. This is a weird one, isn't it? Let's see. Special summon it, negate its effects. Equip it with this card. When this card equipped by this effect leaves the field, destroy that monster. The equipped monster gains 700 attack. If this card is sent from the spell and trap zone to the graveyard, you're going to equip this card to one synchro monster you control. You can only use this effect of Fluorite de Flora once per turn. And this, aside from the monster reborn effect, equips itself to a monster, giving it 700 attack, and that's about it. So why not just play like a monster reborn, so you can just reborn any monster instead of a level 1 or one level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard. Well, the only merit to this is it's at 3. That's about it, I guess. So for those cards, they're jank. And then we have, oh, here's a really jank one. The equipped monster gains 800 attack defense for each face-up monster you control. So, well, actually not really jank. This is, I was thinking of something else, I guess. So United We Stand, you can get a kind of sizey monster. But of course, like, when it comes to attack modification and stuff, it's not very useful in the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, even if you had, like, let's say 100 million attack defense point monster, and let's just assume your opponent cannot remove it with any removal, then they still, like, you still have tools like Boral Sword and Crusadia Avramax that can potentially just attack over that monster regardless of the attack defense values on it. So that's also a thing, of course. Oh, and yeah, there's also this type where you equip spell to a monster, and then you send both to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. There are a few like this as well. One of the more jank ones is like Double-Edged Sword, where both players take battle damage. So this is especially dumb because of Time Lords. Yeah. So if a Time Lord player equips this onto your monster and then attacks into it, you just take the full force of like whatever attack points your monster has. So let's say your monster has conveniently, let's say 6k attack or something like that. Then if a Time Lord attacks into you and you have Double-Edged Sword equipped to your monster, then you will just take 8,000 damage from that battle and just die, I believe. Even though technically no damage should be taken because like it's a Time Lord, I believe. It's just really weird like that. Strange Rulings. And then Power of the Guardians. If an attack is declared involving the equipped monster, place a spell counter on this card. This card actually gives protection. Some cards give protection as well, but in general, like, equipped spells aren't super used in a lot of archetypes. I guess, like, with Spiral, they use it as, like, an archetype monster reborn. This is also one of the better ones, I believe, wasn't it? Yeah. One of the better ones. And then we have a negate on this one, right? Yeah. This Abyss Scale of the Kraken is also a monster negate, so there's some jank ones out there. But, like, in general, they're not very good. So with Noble Arms, though, like, we do have, like, some that also are, like, you equip this to a monster, and then you destroy this card and add, like, a monster or something like that. Like, in general, equip spells are kind of like... They kind of feel like the why do you exist category right now. We haven't really had, like, a super interesting usage of equip spells in a while, in my opinion. So, I don't feel very strongly about equip spells. But they really aren't seeing usage and probably won't for a good while, as they're just in general bad. And I believe if we actually looked at it, how many archetype cards are there here? These are all mostly generics, right? And then we have, like, random one-ofs. One-of equip spells for, like, an archetype. Like, this glowing crossbow is a Blackwing card. Dragon Nails is, like, some Dark Dragon-related thing. It doesn't really do much. Horn of Light. I believe this card is maybe, like, used in an FTK. That's about it. Ring of Magnetism. Yeah, it doesn't really do much. Yeah. I don't really see anything else aside from, like, mostly attack defense modification here. Are there any archetype related ones? There's instant Neospace. So, like, these equip spells aren't really, like, archetype based, if that makes sense. Like, aside from maybe, like, a comic hand. But, like, they generally, like, an archetype that plays an equip spell only has one equip spell. Even, like, Dragunity only has one, right? They only have Lance? Do they not? Yeah. So, most archetypes only play one equip spell aside from, like, Infernoble, I believe it was. Aside from that, like, there is, like, just a bunch of random one-of, like, equip spells in random archetypes just cause, like, Danger's Feat of Strength. So, pretty awkward. Pretty strange. And then there are just random, like, jank cards, like Super Magic Sword of Raptinus. At the start of the battle phase, you can change the equipped monster spell position, and if you do, immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon one monster. You can only use this effect of Super Magic Sword of Raptinus once per turn. Apply this effect depending on the equipped monster's battle position. Attack position, your opponent cannot target the equipped monster with card effects. Defense position, the equipped monster cannot be destroyed by battle. So, with Raptinus, well, this card does things, I guess. You can make your monster not targetable by card effects, or not destructible by battle. And it has all this jank text on it. But overall, does this card do that much? No. No, it does not. So, equip spells are pretty underutilized, like, when it comes to, like, the cards being made. Equip spells kind of just got shafted, straight up. I'm pretty sure there... Is there, like... I'm pretty sure there isn't, right? Oh, not Noble. Okay. Noble Arms, right. So, aside from, like, this, I don't... There's, like, no archetype that plays multiple, like, equip spells, pretty much, I think. Does Evil Eye? How about Evil Eye? We have Evil Eye of Gorgonio and Evil Eye of Selene, where they are revolved around, technically, these equip spells, but, like, kind of meh. Let's see. Does this do anything? that doesn't really do anything. This kind of is a search, but otherwise, yeah, neither of these cards, Gorgonio or Selene, Evil Eye of Selene, Evil Eye of Gorgonio, neither of these cards actually do anything. They kind of just exist because I believe all of the Evil Eye monsters mention this somehow, so they require this. One of these two. I don't play Evil Eye, so I don't know which one it is. But their spells and traps, I believe, also mention Evil Eye. Like the Evil Eye equip spells or whatever. One of them or both of them, not sure which one it is. But like, do these equip spells actually do anything? No. Like, I guess Therion is the closest thing that we have currently. But there's also the issue of just, like, the equip spells being kind of, like, useless anyways in hand. To an extent. Well, it kind of depends, I guess, because you do want a monster to normal summon, because you can't equip to nothing. So, in that sense, equip spells are kind of jank, and they can never be starters or anything, so they have to be, like, an extender, I guess. But, equip spells, they're just generally not much you can do with them, so they're not really seeing play. Like, the only time we really saw equip spells utilized, well, that you probably saw equip spells utilized, are basically one of two options, you know, in my opinion. Because no one really plays Noble Knights or Infernobles or whatever that deck is. I don't remember which one it is, honestly. Is it both? Is it one or the other? Unsure. So, aside from that, the only two you'll really see, I think, is like Telekinetic Charging Cell. To basically more or less do an FTK or some BS. So, aside from that, there is Smoke Grenade, which is now banned. So, not much to do with this. And also, since Telekinetic Charging Cell, the best target to equip onto that is basically just Cyberstein. Since that's also banned, I don't think you'll actually see equip spells, like, ever, pretty much. Like, actual equip spells, not like kind of equipped monsters. You might see those. There's some decent cards like Therion Regulus, of course, that do that. But like, aside from that, you won't genuinely see like equip spells like played like at all, because there just aren't like that many good ones for you to generically play, obviously. Aside from that, I think the equip spell that the other time you would see equip spells played is when the Adventure Engine was released, or when people were still playing that, and you would see a single copy of Dracoback that you would run as part of the engine. And aside from that, those three like equip spells, I don't think you really see any equip spells being utilized commonly, as there are just better cards you could be running anyways. That, or you're getting FTK'd, in which case that's a feels bad man. But yeah, that's about all I have for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!